India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi will reply to the motion of thanks on the President's address in the upper house of Parliament today. The first session of the 18th Lok Sabha was adjourned sine die on Tuesday, marking the conclusion of a productive legislative period that saw significant developments. The session, which commenced on 24th of June, comprised of 7 sittings over a span of 34 hours, achieving a commendable productivity rate of 103%. All right, DD India's Dibendu Mondal joins us with more on this. Dibendu, we've told our viewers that Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be replying to the motion of thanks on the President's address in the Rajya Sabha today. What more can you add to this? How do we expect the day to pan out?
Well, Preeti, good morning. That's right. Today would be the last day of the first sitting of the 18th Lok Sabha, where, the Lok Sabha has already been adjourned yesterday, sine die, by the Lok Sabha Speaker after the Prime Minister's speech on the motion of thanks. But what is expected in the Parliament today is, of course, it's the last day. So the Prime Minister's speech on the floor of the House to the Rajya Sabha, replying on the motion of thanks on the President's inaugural address, will happen later in the day today. The exact timing is yet to come. But of course, it will be somewhere between noon is what is expected. What can we expect from the Prime Minister's speech is, of course, on the similar lines as to what we saw in the Lok Sabha yesterday. The Prime Minister will try to lay out the plans of his government and the achievements that his government has been able to do over the last 10 years. There will also be, several key highlights from his speeches that we saw yesterday also in the lower house, where he enlisted that the government has been trying to work even harder for the development of the people. He also will also be talking about how the economy of this country will be growing at a much faster pace than what was witnessed over the last 10 years. That this government aims to bring India's economy to become the 3rd largest economy in the world. Currently, it is the 5th largest economy in the world. So, of course, some aspects, some on those aspects will also be is expected, in fact, to be spoken about by the Prime Minister on the floor of the House. It's pretty basically, laying out the vision for the new government and how the new government will be taking its policy decisions and, give a sense of how the government will be functioning over the next 5 years. So these are some of the broad outlines, what's expected from the PM's speech. This noon, we are expecting to hear the Prime Minister on the floor, from the floor of the upper house of Parliament.
All right. So the Prime Minister will spell out the priorities of the government in the Rajya Sabha when he replies. All right, Dibendu, yesterday we saw the Lok Sabha, the 18th Lok Sabha was adjourned sine die. Though we know that this is the inaugural session of the Lok Sabha after the general elections 2024, but then how would you evaluate the 18th Lok Sabha session that was adjourned sine die yesterday?
Well, Preeti, that's right. We have, yesterday, while adjourning the session, the Speaker, Om Birla, had said that there have been 103% productivity of the first sitting of the Lok Sabha. So this was pretty mostly an inaugural session where not really any legislative businesses that happened in this 18th, the first sitting of the 18th Lok Sabha, also given the fact that the constitutional processes needed to be completed in the first session. But it worked, day before yesterday in the Lok Sabha worked till about midnight. So, of course, the people, the opposition, as well as the treasury benches have worked together. There was some sort of synchronization between both the opposition and the treasury benches when it came to the functioning of the Lok Sabha. But Preeti, having said this, what we have witnessed inside the house of the Lok Sabha is, of course, it's a much more stronger opposition than the country had over the last 10 years. Of course, much more chaos was witnessed within the floor of the house. Even yesterday, we saw how the opposition tried to disrupt the Prime Minister when the Prime Minister was speaking in the Lok Sabha by creating chaos and jumping into the well of the House, several senior members of the BJP, including the Prime Minister, Home Minister, Defence Minister, and the Speaker of the Lok Sabha, condemned the opposition for such an unparliamentary behavior because the Prime Minister was speaking on the floor of the House and the opposition kept raising slogan throughout his speech that went on for over 2 hours. So of course more such actions within the lower house of parliament is expected over the next 5 years, given the fact that the opposition claims that they have much more numbers now, and they will be asserting themselves within the house of within the floor of the house in the parliament. So we'll see much more aggressive opposition on the floor of the house over the next 5 years. So of course, even though the inaugural session is coming to an end today, but the budget session will begin later this month. So of course, we'll see much more action happening within the premises of the parliament over the next course of the few years.
All right. Thank you so much, Dibendu, for joining in with those details.